Well, first I would like to, I hope I always start by honoring my teachers in all their many forms. And also to invite any of you, if you want to invite in, the energy of your teachers or any guides or guardians, just to allow this to be as safe a space as is reasonable, as safe a space as we can expect in the world today. And as much as possible, see if you can listen from your body, almost as if your ears were down in your heart. Or even down in your belly, if that's possible for you. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. I was thinking about, and I think that I've, in the past couple of talks, I keep coming back to this, and it just feels important when we're talking about sovereignty. It's this idea of where do I end and where does the world start, or is there a separation there, And in a meditation, it was yesterday, just the word boundaries and resistance kept coming in. Boundaries and resistance. And where both of those words feel really important in our lives, and how do they work with deeper spiritual understandings, which can seem really at odds, right? And I think that the common interpretation in sort of the self-help scene now with boundaries is like, I need to set boundaries so I keep your bad behavior away from me, right? Is kind of how we tend to hear it used, right? But I don't know about you, but for me, I've also really have a deep experience that we are all connected, that we're all a part of something much larger, right? And that truly you're not separate from me. So like, how do I keep your bad behavior separate from me when we're actually part of one thing? So it just ends up being this sort of dichotomy. So I just want to ask you to feel your skin right now. And just kind of drop in your body and feel, the outline of your body. And see if you can tune into that possibility that we receive the world, that everything that we hear, everything we experience, everything we see, quote unquote, other people doing, interactions we have, and even our own thoughts that we think of as being internal, that we're, like, who we really are is receiving all of that. Sounds and sensation. And that's the connection. That, like, the skin is the connection. Even the receiving of our own thoughts that's the intimacy of me and the world that I am in and a part of. And if we're part of this larger thing, whatever you want to call that thing, the universe, then we would be like a cell in our own body. Think about a cell in your skin. It's right up against the other cells in your skin. And there's a relationship. You can't say, well, this cell in my skin is not part of me, but it has its own isness. It has its own integrity. It has its own sovereignty. You want to use that, And so when things don't go well, like if the boundary around that cell is not in integrity, it falls apart. It doesn't function, right? So it has to have an integrous cell wall that functions in a certain way. And to me, that's how I try to hold the idea of boundaries. It's like, well, it's permeable, right? So we do need to let things in, and things go out, and we affect each other, and we love each other, and we fight with each other, and, that it's pleasant and unpleasant, but the work for me is about how to hold this one, and we've done that here, like put your arms around yourself and really feel like, okay, here I am, right? And then if you open your eyes and look and you see, and here you are, right? And it's there's the holding of the paradox of like, I see you, but you look separate. And yet I know that this in between us is not empty. This is part of how the structure is. The structure of this bigger thing that we're a part of. And to me, then, that becomes really alive. All of a sudden, like, if I am tuning in on that level of like, oh yeah, you look like you're over here and I'm over here, but wait, what is all this here? What is this? This is alive. It's all alive. So it's another layer for me of how do we deal with this thing called boundaries? And knowing that if things don't feel good and ouch here or ouch over there too much, then actually our cell walls aren't functioning correctly, right? And we need to shore up like that. They're like, yeah, no, this enzyme doesn't work in here, right? We're going to use that analogy of being in the body, that this, and that's what we're learning, to me, as we learn about relationship, and we're learning about how to be in this greater organism in integrity as our own pieces of the all that is. And that's a process. It's not a done like, okay, it's supposed to happen like this, and it always will, because, it's always in motion. It's all in motion. And the other piece about resistance, it was like these two words, just because they're in such common parlance right now, it's like resistance. You're supposed to resist the bad things happening in the world, we need to like resist what's coming in from the government or what's coming in from, that's, I know that's an oversimplification, but it's, part of how, like I'm losing it here. Here we go. But for me, I need to like figure out how to manage these words, because there's something very real going on in the world that really does need attention, right? And yet, Adyashanti, one of my teachers, one of the things that he used to put over the meditation door, the meditation hall door, resistance is futile. So there's that piece too. It's like when things are happening, they're happening, right? And where do we work with wise resistance, if you will, without like just setting up more suffering for ourselves and other people? I mean, there's a Carl Jung quote that is, what you resist persists, right? And I think that can happen within our own psyches too. It's like, no, this thing isn't true. And then we're not allowing the flow that's wanting to happen, of like, that starts with, oh, this is true. This exists. I'm not happy, or I'm angry, right? And we get into that, like, well, I'm not supposed to be angry, I should be understanding, or, yeah, I got to drum that anger up, or, like there's this relationship we get in with something that's just at base level true. I'm angry, right? And so for me, I was reframing this whole idea of resistance as instead of the word resistance, to me, I was coming up with, it's actually discernment that leads to action. And that to me is a positive. It's like I can work with that. You know what I mean? I can't work with resistance. It just doesn't work in my psyche anymore. It just feels false, right? But discernment and action, hell yeah. There I can like plant a staff, It's like, okay, this is what I see, and it's my part. I can't do everybody else's part, but I do need to do my part. And that all for me starts with sitting with I don't know. Like for me, it all is the beginning of whatever action I want to take is best for me done when I first sit with, I don't know where this is going. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't even know what's going on with other people. But I think that I have some reaction, and then I have to start with, I don't know. I actually don't know what they were thinking, what they were, where their behavior came from. All I can do is work with this cell wall, and be as in integrity in this cell wall as possible. And I find that when I'm really working well with this cell wall, I have so much love. If I'm really in here and really feeling like, oh, okay, like, wow, this is where I sit, then I find that I'm not losing myself and wondering about it. I'm just seeing people. And I'm more likely to see other people's motives, to the best of my imagination. But I find I take things less personally because I'm not losing myself, holding on to myself. So those are my thoughts. Those are my thoughts this week. I guess I would add too that, and I've said this before, but sovereignty, I think, really kind of requires a stable nervous system. And I'm gonna, actually, let me reframe that, because I think we're always sovereign, whether we know it or not, right? I think that just is the truth. But I think that when our nervous systems are destabilized, we can't connect with it, with that fact. That fact is we are sovereign beings, right? And so this work to me is, how do I connect with that sovereignty that exists, And that, I feel like, is the work, is to have the skills to soothe my nervous system when it gets, and that starts with what's true. I'm not soothed. You know what I mean? It's like, it always starts with this, like, oh, I'm so triggered. Well, it's okay. Good. Then I know what to do about that, So let's sit, either with those thoughts or with whatever maybe unrelated going on in your cell, within your integrous cell wall. And just for 15 minutes, not too long. And really get comfortable as you can be. And if that means lying on the floor, like if your body is hurting, or if you are so tired, like I. If I can communicate, just giving yourself permission to being as relaxed as possible. And that includes if you fall asleep. Hallelujah. You probably need it. This to me it's my feminine way of meditation. You can do the masculine form sometimes of sitting upright. There's a place. You're talking to me, no, not in particular. But in general, yes.
With my eyes, I'm not even in the room.
There's, I may have quoted this before, but one of the teachers I sit with says, awakening is just a process of relaxation. It's just letting go. Letting go of quote-unquote resistance. And that relaxation can really lead to discernment. Like, oh, that's true. That's true. And taking a few somewhat deeper breaths. Doesn't have to be the deepest, but just really feel your rib cage expand and notice how that may assist in more physical relaxation. Which may assist in mental relaxation. You can really give yourself permission to experience exactly what you're experiencing. And if that's a bunch of thinking, then hallelujah, let your mind think. And have gratitude that this mind is doing what it knows how to do. And if the mind is fairly quiet, enjoy that too. And whatever is occurring, whatever you're noticing, whether that's thinking or hearing or sensations in the body, see if you can notice that as something you're receiving, whatever it is. Almost as though your skin, or if it's your own thinking, as though your heart were a sensing organ that was receiving this stimulus. You can receive the breath. Like who we are, this essential awareness receives all of this stimulus, all of this, the sights and sounds and thoughts, sensation, taste. And just as an experiment for your next 3 breaths, let them be deeper and really have an attitude of welcoming. So, not just receiving, but actively welcoming whatever is in your awareness right now. Even if it may be unpleasant, just see if you can find a way to welcome the intimacy. Intimacy with this life. And then just rest. And feel the unquestioning support of the earth beneath you. Receiving the earth as it receives you. Feeling this boundary of your skin cradled. wherever you are, just let yourself wake up right there, lost in thought or deeply into a sensation. Just start there. And very gently allow yourself to come back into the room. Knowing there's no need to abandon anything about where you may have been. And just opening eyes if they were closed, and moving your body. May any benefit accrued by this practice be dedicated to all beings in all the realms, in all times. May all beings be happy.